Hello everyone, it's Smaj here, and today we have another video covering Carrot. This video will be about a guide for utilizing Carrot in the Heroines battle event. I got to try the deck out in this past weekend. I went 5-0 with it. I went 2-3 in the morning, and in the afternoon in another tournament, I got 5-0 and won the tournament. So I'm here to basically explain my thoughts and views of the deck and how playable it is, and what you need to do to achieve that W. Of course, I was the only carrot in both tournaments, um, but the deck holds out, and I think you can win with it. It just requires a lot of understanding of the meta and of the deck itself and how you should approach each matchup. So let's start. In the previous video, I already explained the list, so I'm not going to go through it again. But just a full Minx list, with exception of the Tashigi and the DMG, since it's the best green card in my opinion. The list just revolves around utilizing carrot, 5-cost carrot, 6-cost carrot to dominate the mid game, freeze your opponents, and win board advantage through those two characters. Also utilize Mystems to reduce enemies' cost, the enemies' characters' costs. To use Luna against them to freeze them with Carrot. Since this meta has a lot of 5-6 costs, the biggest characters go up to like 8 cost for Gecko Moria, 8 cost Mihawk in Bonnie. Mystems is a really useful card since it lowers the costs and allows you to stun all of the enemy characters. You can also use Luna, so you have a lot of utility tools in the mid game. In the late game, you can finish with the restand carrot, find some sneaky lethals. Sometimes it comes up to a time in the late game where you should always think if you have enough to kill your opponent, since there's a lot of swings coming. If you attack 5-5-7, for example, you put a dot on carrot, and then you use your carrot to restand, you have 6 swings in the turn, which makes a huge difference and can surprise a lot of people. I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's the list, and let's keep going. So pros. The first pro and the main reason why I played this deck in this format is because it's heavily favored into Green Bonnie. I hate this deck. I hate Bonnie with a passion, and I might have wanted to just torture a couple of them. So I brought this deck, and it completely destroys Bonnie. Whenever they play Cavendish, you just lower them. Not lower. I spent the entire last video saying lower instead of resting. I don't know why. You can just use your leader ability to rest their Cavendish, their carrot, and kill them with the 6-cost carrot, or stun them with the 5-cost carrot. You can also just rest their annoying blockers like the 3-cost Bonnie, the 2-cost Rosinante, um, Koshiro even, some of them run it. It's just a really good matchup. You have Luna to freeze their entire board. Whenever they use the 10-cost Doffy, you can just restand. It's just one of the main reasons to play this deck is there's a lot of green bonnies since it's the oldest deck, the deck that people are most comfortable playing with. For example, in the 2 tournaments I went, the first one I Bonnie won, and it was a Bonnie mirror. Jesus Christ, I don't ever want to experience Bonnie mirror. Um, in the second tournament, I went in the final against a Green Bonnie, and poor Green Bonnie just got destroyed. So, continuing, Mystems plus Carrot in Electrical Luna is really strong in most matchups. As I said previously in the list analysis, Mystems plus Carrot in Electrical Luna can stop Moria Packers, which is really common in Yellow Bonnie, also Blue Yellow Nami, also Nico Robin. There's a lot of yellow decks in this format, and a lot of them like to run the Moria package, which can just be absolutely destroyed by Mystems plus Carrot or Electrical Luna. You can also use Carrot to attack, then restand and freeze another target. It's just really good. Against Boa Hancock, obviously, Electrical Luna is really good. You really need Mystems for Luna to be good in that matchup. They just spawn endless 6 costs and 4 costs. So yeah, really strong in the mid game. Yeah, then you have the element of surprise. A lot of people don't really know what this deck can do, and this works in your favor. So I advise you to just, if you're going to use an electrical Luna, for example, use your swings first, and with the last remaining three Dawn, make your play a blocker, plays carrot. I don't know, just make your play as you can judge with your Dons. And in the end, use Luna, and they're just going to be mind blown. Most of them won't expect that. More experienced players might expect that, but most players won't. And the eight cost carrot restand also catches a lot of people off guard with a ton of damage, a ton of swings. So yeah, these are basically the pros of playing this deck, in my opinion, in this format. Moving on to the cons. First one, blue yellow Nami. This matchup is just it's just really difficult. It's a 7k leader. Most of your power in your deck comes from restanding 5 and 6 power characters. So when you reach that eight Dawn turn, you can't really do much because if you try to use the restand, they're just going to use leader ability, discard a brick, and they're a 7k leader, and you just can't use the restand effectively. So you need to play around Law and Beppo, or in this turn I just mentioned, whenever they don't have their Dawn up, you need to capitalize on that and be aggressive. But most of the time they won't. They will have their Dawn up. Uh, though they mostly want to go first, so you should probably give them first, because when they go first, they play that young girl, which gives them the rest of Dawn. But since you're carrot, you can just rest the girl and kill the girl. Jesus, that sounds horrible. And kill and kill the character, the girl character that gives the rest of Dawn. And this makes their 7 cost turn really awkward because they can't really play the Robin. Because if they play the Robin and you went wide, they don't have their Dawn, and if they don't have their Dawn, you can go aggressive and take a lot of life cards from them. So there's some gimmicks in this matchup, but mostly if they know what they're doing, this matchup is near impossible to win, in my experience. Then the deck is infinitely stronger when you see 5 cost carrot. This is a big problem with the deck. I only run 4 searchers. There's not really much you can do about it. There aren't many reliable searchers for this deck. Um, Inuarashi is a decent replacement when you don't have carrot, but it's just carrot is just so much better. It stuns 7 costs. It's absolutely ridiculous. You can restand her and stun multiple targets. As in Inuarashi is just an on play. When he enters the field, he's just a 6k, nothing else. So yeah, this deck is definitely, if it doesn't see carrot, the deck is a lot weaker. This deck also struggles against Graphblade and Moria package. Against blue decks like Blue Yellow Nami and Boa Hancock, if you don't have the Tashigi in the beginning of the game and you try to go wide, it can really backfire and they can Graphblade, and the game is really hard to come back from. For example, in the first game, in my 5-0 run, I went against the Boa Hancock, and she um, basically grab bladed both my 5 cost carrots, and it was devastating. I ended up winning because I managed to get 2 electrical lunas and use them success. Uh, how do I say this? In succession. I don't know why couldn't remember the word. So I managed to use attack offensively, very aggressively, and then Luna in the end. And then the next turn, use Deadmans to go for lethal, lowering their Dawns that they left up. And that's how I won the first game. Else I wouldn't have won. Also, Moria package, if they win the dice, it's really hard to play when they keep spamming Peronas, and it's just really impossible to attack with your carrots because they play the Perona, and then they can use their Nami ability, for example, or counter to put another Perona in trash, then bring her with the triggers or Moria, and it's really annoying. But yeah, it's definitely this deck definitely suffers against some popular parts of the meta. Yeah. So let's start with some tips against Boa Hancock. A lot of tricks that Boa Hancock tries to use to take lives from you, which is a really boring and cringe playstyle in my opinion. But they leave their blocker up, so when you try to swing into them, they just block with their blocker and you lose a life. Well, this doesn't really work against Carrot because you can permanently just lower, just Jesus, here I go again with the lower. You can just rest their four cost blocker, so that's not really a problem. And when you rest it, you can just freeze it with Carrot, so you don't really need to use your resting ability the following turn on the blocker again. You can use it with another character. So yeah, this is a really important tip in this matchup. Just keep lowering the resting the four cost blocker and avoid taking life. It's important to stay healthy because this Boa Hancock deck is lethal and it's really dangerous if you stay low health. Electrical Luna and Lone Beppo are key cards in this matchup. So Luna just basically stuns their entire board. Of course, when they play Kuma, Kuma, I don't know why the card needed this, but when you play Kuma, the card has +2 cost in the turn it enters the field, so it's an 8 cost, and only in the following turn does it get affected by Luna. This if you don't have a Mystims on board. Um, so basically, Electrical Luna, really important card in this matchup, really saves you games, as it saved my first game in my 5-0 run. And Lon Beppo, whenever they play their 9 cost Boa, you can just slow in Beppo, the Boa. If they don't have 2 Gorgon Sisters on the field, it's really good because they can't really swing at you. They have to distribute their Dons and make uncomfortable divisions. So, really good card as well in this matchup. Missims is also really good as he can turn Gorgon Sisters, Shaki, Kuma, and Rayleigh into 5 costs, which means they can be rested by your lit ability and then KO'd by 6 cost Carrot, or stunned by 5 cost Carrot, or stunned by Inuarashi. So Missims is really good, a really good card, really underrated card, and really important in this format and against Boa especially. Against Blue Yellow Nami, well, what you can do against Blue Yellow Nami is you can it's not really helpful to go wide against this deck since they're basically a 7k leader. It's really hard to go wide because you really can't swing effectively with your smaller characters. So you can just play a more late game focused approach where you're trying to stall with the mid game. You stun the enemy Robin with your Carrot. You stun the enemy Namis with your Carrot and your Inuarashi. You play Luna, and then you can play around stacking Loen Beppos in the late game, trying to survive, and then going for the restand killing blow with your Loen Beppos and the 8 cost. You shouldn't. You should be aggressive whenever they don't have the attached Dawn on leader. As I mentioned, when they play Girl, you can rest it and KO it, so they don't have access to their rested Dawn whenever they play their Nami or their Kid in the whenever they're going in the pair curve. The pair curve? That sounds terrible. In the even curve, not the pair. That's how you say it in my language. When they go in the even curve, they can play Kid, and they can't use the rest of Dawn. So this makes their turns more awkward. If they're afraid to take damage, it might force them to make a more suboptimal play. But if they go with the 7 or 8 Dawn play and they don't have the Dawn, don't be afraid. Use your Dawns to swing with your characters, because if you don't do it, going wide is not going to help. You're not going to be able to touch her, and you need to swing late game with your 8 cost Carrots and your line Beppos to try and finish out the game, or else they're just going to keep burning your life and eventually unblockable event and kill you. And you can't really trade their Robins, which is not that bad for Carrot, because you can just stun it with Carrot. It's a problem when they stack them, when there's too many Robins on the field, because you can't kill a single one of them. You can Luna them though, which is a big help as well. You need to also be careful when swinging, because this is just basically a normal tip against Thriller Bark, not just especially against Blue Yellow Nami. Swing with your Carrot first, with your 5 cost Carrot, because you need to freeze a target, and if you attack with another character or leader first, you're risking the Thriller Bark Perona trigger, which then stops your Carrot, and you're not only losing a swing, you're also freezing an opponent's character, which is vital for you not to die. So yeah, these are basically the tips against this deck, but the matchup is really, really hard. Against Green Bonnie, I'm only going to do tips, by the way, against Blue Yellow Nami, Boa Hancock, and Green Bonnie, since they're, in my opinion, the most consistent decks in the decks we see the most. I could also mention Vivi, which is not a really, not that easy of a matchup. Um, but I chose to just give tips against the decks that I found most common and problematic. Not that Bonnie is problematic, but she just appears over and over again, and it's an important matchup to understand. So, first tip, 8 cost carrot can unfreeze your characters in leader, which effectively makes their Doffy and leader ability useless. So, we all suffered that turn when we're playing against the Green Bonnie and we need to swing, because if we don't swing, I mean, just the game's just not going to go anywhere and we're just going to lose eventually, and they can outvalue us in the late game. So you a lot of times you just took a Doffy to the face and they froze 2 characters of yours and your leader. Well, 8 cost carrot says no. If they do that, 8 cost carrot just unfreezes every single character they rested, which makes their Doffy completely useless. And this is such a big difference in this matchup, because normally when they play their Doffy, they feel really confident that they can survive and they can be a little more risky. But whenever you play 8 cost carrot, you just made their turn completely useless. And sometimes when they play their Doffy, they can't even get the Dawn up for their ability if they don't have a Cavendish on the board, or the 3 cost Bonnie blocker to activate their Dawn. So it's a really important card in this matchup. Next, we need to wait for them to play the Cavendish or Carrot, and then we use the leader ability to rest them and freeze or KO them with 5 cost or 6 cost Carrot, respectively. You should never play your 5, not play, but make your 5 cost Carrot vulnerable to getting carroted first. You should always try to play around your opponent playing their Cavendish or their Carrot first, and then you can react to that and lower their Cavendish or Carrot, and either KO them with the 6 cost Carrot or freeze them with the 5 cost Carrot. The final tip is you can use leader ability to rest their early blockers, like 3 cost Bonnie, for example. So there's a lot of times when the Bonnie will just play the 3 cost Bonnie to set up future turns. Well, they can't really do that against Carrot, because if they do that, you're just going to lower the... Jesus, stop with the lower, man. You can just rest their blocker and kill it, which makes a big difference, because a big part of Bonnie being annoying is all those little blockers that just you lose an attack because of leader ability, then they have a blocker and you can't play, and it's really annoying. So Carrot completely destroys that thought process. The only way for this matchup to become a big problem is if they play Kid. If they play 8 cost Kid and they can stack a lot of blockers, this matchup turns a lot harder. But you can still win with the restand if you have a Lone Beppo on the field. But it gets a lot harder if they have a Kid. So, to talk about my journey to 5-0, I went against a different deck every single game. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the matchups. Against Boa Hancock, I already mentioned what we have to do. In this first game, as I mentioned before in the video, I got Graph Bladed on both my 5 cost carrots. And at that time, I thought I would lose, honestly. But then I found 2 Electrical Lunas, so I understood that the only way for me to win that game was just to go aggressive and just Luna their board, try to survive and go aggressive with my Dons. I think I swung like 7, 9, played a chump blocker, then played Luna. I think that was my play, and yeah, just that's the way I won. In the last turn, I just used DMG to lower to rest their Dons and went for lethal and won by a small margin. I lost the dice as well, which made the game harder, but I ended up winning that game. Then we went against Yellow Bonnie. We won the dice, which is really important in this matchup, because if they start spamming Morias and Peronas, it's really hard for you to play the game, because you can't really freeze anything because you're frozen, and then your leader doesn't. You can't really do anything, because if you lower their characters, but your carrots can't attack, so you can't freeze them. Your Inuarashi can't really do much. I mean, it can you can rest one of them, but the point is, when you're using Carrot, it's important to chain stuns. What I mean by this is, when you stun a character with Carrot, the next turn they stay rested. So back on your turn, when you use the leader ability, you can then stun 2 characters, because the previous character is already stunned from the previous turn. I don't know if that was confusing, but hopefully you got what I meant. Yeah, so I won this game. I went second, so it was a lot easier. I kind of just rushed them down, froze the. Went on the battery there. Sorry. Yeah, just basically I just froze their Kikunojos, froze their Morias whenever they attacked with Moria because I had Missims on the board and Carrot could freeze the Moria, and we just ended up winning that game. Did we win against Shirohoshi? Winning dice in this matchup is just what can Shirohoshi do? If you see 5-cost Carrot, you can just freeze their minions. You can lower their blockers. You can use your 6-cost Carrots to just KO one of their 5 costs. This matchup is just impossible for them. They can't really do anything. It was pretty free. I'm not gonna lie. Then we went against Blue Nami, probably the scariest game besides the game against Bo Hancock. They were like 6 cards away from finishing the deck. The only reason why I won this game is because I went second and I had the restand Carrot. So they took a lot of swings the turn I played the 8-cost Carrot, and it was enough pressure to eventually win the game, force them to go all in, so to say, earlier. They just try to win, to go for the deck out, and they missed. So I won the following turn. Yeah, 8-cost Carrot really important in this Blue Nami matchup. It's really important for you to go aggressive, and just don't focus on just going wide, but focus on strong swings to really hurt them. Because Blue Nami, as it is right now with the new U, is a pretty decent deck, and if the opposing player knows what he's doing, they can win almost every game. Of course, if they miss, if they trash too many Kayas, too many Pilafs, it gets tougher. But if they're a good player, they can definitely win against any deck. And then in the final game, I went against Green Bonnie. I won the dice. So they played Cavendish. I just lowered the Cavendish, killed them with my 6-cost Carrot. The game was just really, really one-sided, honestly. This deck just destroys Bonnie. And yeah, it was a great tournament. I felt really good about the deck. Of course, this deck is a lot worse in normal format, especially because they have Emu, and 6-cost Carrot is useless against Emu. You can't really KO characters against Bo Hancock as you take a life, so you're more incentivized to use your Carrots to freeze them. You can't really deal with the 12k 10-cost block beer from Ace. So in this format, this deck is really good. I wouldn't say really good. It's pretty good if you know the matchups well, if you know the game plan for each matchup. Of course, I trained for this tournament because I was really passionate about this deck. I really like the deck. Don't really know why I picked it up, honestly, in the first place. I just tried it, destroyed Bonnie, felt good about it, started enjoying the deck, and the rest is history. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this guide. Now get out there and make some green Bonnies miserable. I'll try to do the rest of my part this week as well. I have a couple more Heroines tournaments. Probably not going to take care to all of them because I wanted to try maybe a Yamato or a Blue Nami tournament just for fun. I already won one, so the try hard section is over. Let's say it like that. And yeah, I should probably make a couple more videos playing the deck against Heroines matchups. I'll try to do that tomorrow. But hopefully you enjoyed this. And any doubts you have, you can send it to me on YouTube in the comments, and I'll try to help you as best as I can. So yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.